Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 15 4 key game picks. Before we talk about week number 15, obviously a lot of things that happened in week number 14. I don't have a lot of time to get through everything, but obviously if you want to consider what was the main headlines that came out of week number 14, was a little bit of some surprises that went on in week number 14. A couple of them really were, number one, that the Eagles really destroyed the Giants. It really was not a football game at all. At all. I mean, given how the Giants were on a roll, and then all of a sudden now, this part of the season now, they have just completely fallen apart. Who knows what that Giant offense is now? And the Eagles are really now have made their case pretty much now. They're definitely the team of the NFC right now, the team to beat in that conference, possibly maybe even the team to beat in all of the NFL. Given the way the Eagles have handled basically just manhandle the Giants. Pretty much, look, they're already in the postseason. All they have to do is win their upcoming game next week, this upcoming Sunday, this coming weekend, and the Cowboys losing their game, and they actually win the division. Which really, I don't think they'll win the division just yet, because I think the Eagles definitely will have that showdown with the Cowboys on Christmas Eve coming up. That pretty much will decide the division right there. But the Eagles so far, you look at their team right now, they're completely stacked. And the way that Jalen Hurts has played, he's now the front runner for the MVP, no question about it. You look at other teams going on, let's see, a couple of things right now. The Bills managed to survive the Jets. They're pretty much still holding on to that number one seed in the AFC. But their defense is really getting affected because of the fact that Von Miller now is out for the remainder of the season. And he's not going to come back anytime. So the Bills' defense, they're really missing their key leader right now. And speaking of injuries and other big injuries that have happened, obviously Deebo Samuel for the 49ers is out. And Kyler Murray tore his ACL. He's out for the season. He's out for pretty much the remainder of the season, and who knows how long. But really, some of it was injuries that were key. But other than that, the surprises really were a couple of other surprises, that the Lions beating the Vikings in last Sunday's game. And obviously the Vikings now, for some strange reason, they've been playing very well football in the last 5 games. They are now a team to be watching out for. Obviously they're still on the outside of a playoff berth right now, but they look like the team that is probably gonna sneak their way in, given the way the Giants are slipping. Remember, the Giants are barely hanging on that last playoff spot, but they still hold some tiebreakers on some teams they've already beaten through the teams that are in the playoff hunt. But really right now, the way the Giants are playing right now, they're pretty much going to fall out of the playoff spot if they don't really get back on track. And you look at teams in the AFC as well, given the fact that the Chargers really finally won a game with the team that has a winning record. They haven't beaten a team with a winning record all season. The Dolphins right now, they played their worst game last Sunday against the Chargers, and obviously that is not going to help out their causes, because they got a showdown with the Bills this coming Saturday. So it is a lot. I mean, I could go on and what will happen the rest of week 14, but there's a lot of interesting things that did happen. And some things now, a lot of it is head scratchers, and obviously you got to look at the fact that what's going to happen towards playoff spots now. Anyways, enough of my mumble and my rambling in here. Let's talk about week number 15, shall we? Let's begin with key game number 1, going into the NFC West. It is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Brock Purdy obviously is taking over because Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be playing the rest of the season. Purdy went 16 of 21, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And obviously, for Geno Smith, 21 of 36, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So it's really tough to say right now for the Seattle Seahawks team. They played one of their worst games of all against the Panthers last Sunday, and especially now they're basically falling out of a playoff spot now. They were currently in a playoff berth, but now that they lost to the Panthers, and the way that the Commanders and the Giants have been, and the way the Commanders are basically on a roll, Detroit is starting to become a factor now. The Seahawks now are on the outside. So this is going to be quite interesting to see what happens in this game here. Now, obviously, losing Deebo Samuel for the 49ers kind of does hurt their offense a little bit here. The thing is, though, the 49ers have the defense. And given how Geno Smith has struggled in his last few games, obviously 2 interceptions last week against the Panthers, you got to wonder about his accuracy and where he's throwing the ball to. And Seattle needs to fix this soon, because they got to fix this fast, because this game on Thursday night is critical for them to keep their playoff hopes alive. But obviously for the 49ers, for them, basically wraps up the division, wraps up the NFC West right here for them. I mean, they won't officially clinch the division just yet, but obviously they could be pretty much up 2 games on Seattle, maybe about 2 games up on in front of Seattle. Pretty much wraps up the division right there, even though they won't officially clinch it just yet, even if they win. Tough to say what comes out of this game, because I don't know what the 49ers offense is going to look like now without Deebo Samuel. Obviously, the defense has to be the key in this one here. But Seattle, you got to wonder about their offense as well. Basically, the turnovers last week for Geno Smith have really hurt him. It's kind of a toss-up here because the Niners are a 3.5-point favorite. I would say that's about right, because the way the Seahawks are playing right now, I don't know what you're going to get out of this team. And given how the 49ers defense can really get to the quarterback, they really destroyed Tom Brady last week against the Bucs. And you got to wonder now what this defense can do. Basically, it's bailing them out. So I'm going to pick the 49ers in this one here. I think the defense is going to continue to bail them out here. The Seahawks just are having so much struggles offensively. Hard to say what's going to come out. What's going to come out of this game if Pete Carroll and it doesn't find a way to coach this team, find a way to coach Geno Smith, and find a way to fix their mistakes they had in their last few games, to fix up the errors and the miscues and the turnovers here. They're in trouble here against a tough 49er defense. It is going to be low scoring. I don't see this game being high scoring at all, because I think both teams offensively are struggling. But I'm picking the 49ers here. It's hard to go against that tough defense that they have here. I'm going to pick the 49ers in this one. The 49ers are 3.5-point favorite here. Take the 49ers over the Seahawks. All right, key game number 2. The showdown between the Dolphins and the Bills. Obviously, this will decide the AFC East right here, because, I wouldn't say, look, the Bills won't officially clinch the division just yet, because Miami is just 1 game back. And they've already took the first meeting. They've already took the first meeting with the Bills and all that, so this game is critical, and this could be a huge advantage for the Dolphins if they get the sweep. Now, Tua had his worst game against the Chargers, as I mentioned earlier in the video. 10 of 28, 145 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. And another key factor that's going to play a role in this game is how healthy is Tyreek Hill, because he did get hurt, and he did hurt his ankle against the Chargers last Sunday. So now that's going to be a key factor going into this game against the Bills. Now, Josh Allen went 16 of 27, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a big victory against the Jets last week. Offense-wise, in terms of his statistics, they were pretty low, but the Bills got the job done in a game that they desperately had to have just to stay ahead of the Dolphins. The Bills are a 7.5-point favorite in this one here, and I would say that's about right. I think the odds makers are right on this one here. I think the Bills are no question, they are heavily favored in this game. Given that there's a factors between the Dolphins right now, I don't know how healthy their offense is, especially with Tyreek Hill. How healthy is he? And obviously, if you don't have your best go-to target, and the way that Tua struggled against the Chargers last week offensively, you gotta look at this game right now. The Bills, they look like they're much more ready for this game. And let's see how the Dolphins handle the elements, because it's supposed to be raining, and I think it's supposed to rain this weekend in Buffalo. I haven't checked the latest weather report or anything. It's gonna be frigid cold in there. They got elements that they have to handle in that game, and I don't know if Tua and the Dolphins are going to be ready for this game. You got to love the home field advantage that the Bills have in this one here. I'm picking the Bills here. I think, to me, they get the job done, and they're pretty much, that may have wrapped up the AFC East right there, because the Dolphins really have been the only team that is kept up with them, maybe other than the Jets, and maybe other than the Jets as well. But I look at this game here. You gotta go with the home field advantage in this one here. I don't know if Miami's offense is going to be back on track in this game. They really struggled last week against the Chargers. I'm going to pick the Bills in this one here. I think the Bills will beat the Dolphins here. They will be ahead of the Dolphins. I could say pretty much they will definitely wrap up the AFC East right here. They won't officially clinch it yet, but I think they pretty much seals it for them here. I'm going to pick the Bills over the Dolphins here. Bills at minus 7.5. All right, let's go to key game number 3 now. The Detroit Lions versus the New York Jets. The importance of this game for these two teams is basically playoff contention right now. The Detroit Lions are on the outside now. Given how they were at the beginning of the season so terrible, only having one win, they have just been on a roll, winning games left and right, and they basically have manhandled their opponents by averaging about 30 points a game. And really right now, for this Detroit Lions team, given how Jared Goff, he played last week, he played magnificently. 27 of 39, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, the New York Jets, the big question mark going into this game right now, how healthy is White? How healthy is White going into this game? I mean, 27 of 44, 265 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions. You got to wonder about that Jet offense here, and whether or not if White is going to be healthy enough to play in this game, or you got to go to Joe Flacco. And that is going to be huge in this game right now, to see if their offense can finally do something here. Because the Jets didn't score that many points in the game against the Bills. And that really, to me, given how the Lions are playing right now, the Jets are barely favored by 1 in this game. But this is more of a game that could be you pick them here. Now, given how the Detroit offense has been on fire, they are lacking in their defense here. Their defense isn't that great. And given how this game could be high scoring. I mean, given how the fact that the Lions have played so well offensively, it's going to be tough to say how this game will turn out. This game is really a toss-up here. Who wins this game? Both these two teams need this game. They need to win up to keep their playoff hopes alive, in all honesty. Right now, the Jets are on the outside, as currently right now the Patriots have that last playoff spot. It's really tough to say right now what's going to come out of this game here, but it's really, I mean, I gotta pick a team to win this one here. It's hard to say going with the Jets defense is a bit better than the Lions defense, but the way that Lions offense has been playing right now, I'm picking the Lions in this one here. I think the Lions will continue their winning streak here. If the Jets have a hard time stopping the offense of the Lions here, it's going to be a back and forth game, and it's going to be pretty high scoring, to be honest with you. But the way the Lions are playing right now, they got momentum going on their side here, and I'm picking the Lions in this one here, +1. I think Detroit is going to continue rolling in here, and they obviously want to get in a postseason. They're on a roll here. And I think that winning streak continues for the Lions. The Jets offense, if they're struggling big time and not knowing how healthy White is, let alone if they have to go to Joe Flacco, it's really tough to say how their offense is going to be against the Lions here. I'm going to pick the Lions here. It's going to be a very close game here. It should be a good one at MetLife on Sunday. I'm picking the Lions here. I think the Lions will beat the Jets here. Lions over the Jets. And finally, key game number 4, the second meeting between the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are a 4.5-point favorite in this one here, and I would say that is about right. Daniel Jones last week, after getting manhandled by the Eagles, went 18 of 27, 165 yards, 1 touchdown. Surprisingly, he wasn't picked off in that game. He didn't have any interceptions. Now, Washington is coming off their bye week. Heineke was 27 of 41, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in the first meeting with the Giants, which ended in a tie. This game is definitely not going to end in a tie here. I think, to me, given how the Giants are really struggling here, where is Saquon Barkley in that running game? What happened to the Giants' defense lately? Where is this team? They were on a roll at the beginning of the season, and they have just completely fallen apart in the second half here. And given how Washington and that offense is really rolling right now, I'm going to make this short and sweet here. The Giants are in huge trouble. If they can't figure out a way to fix all these miscues and mistakes and the turnovers they've had, I don't see them beating Washington this time. I think Washington will come out as a winner in this game here. And I'm going to pick the Commanders here. I think, to me, the Commanders, the way that Heineke's got that offense going right now, you got to love how he's basically been taking over as the team leader with that football team here. And I think that if the Giants can't figure out their mistakes here, I like Washington in this game. And I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders here at -4.5 here. Yep. If the Giants can't figure out their troubles here, I like Washington in this game here. I'm going to pick the Commanders here. The Commanders over the Giants. All right, everybody. That wraps up my 4 key game picks for week number 15. For all my week 15 picks, please check the description below. And I'll talk to you guys next week when I make my picks for week number 16. Take care and enjoy your football weekend.